So you are well aware of what are the 7 man-made wonders of the ancient world. But for those who don't quite have that list at the tip of their tongue, I will repeat it for you now. The 7 ancient wonders are the pyramids of Giza, the hanging gardens of Babylon, the temple of Zeus at Olympia, the temple of Artemis in Ephesus, the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the Colossus of Rhodes, and the lighthouse at Alexandria. If any one of those great monoliths were to be constructed in the year 2007, we would have to make a Discovery Channel special on them, because the means of construction would be so fascinating, complicated, and profoundly difficult that it would demand everyone's attention. To think that all of those things, in fact, were not built in the 21st century, but rather were built hundreds of years before the birth of Jesus Christ, is absolutely awe-inspiring and baffling. How could they have accomplished those things with technology that was so crude and rough? We know that it took many years. It is estimated that to build the one pyramid of Giza in Egypt, it took 100,000 men working non-stop for 20 years. Some of those other buildings, the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, for example, is 135 feet tall and built entirely of shimmering white and blue marble. Likewise, these other wonders were stunning. They were meant to cause absolute awe and wonder by anyone who looked upon them, because after all, they were the dwelling places of the gods. Real, powerful gods who ruled nations, or at times ruled even the whole world. The great gods whose names we still remember, and the very thought of whom causes us to tremble. Zeus, Apollo, Athena, Ra, Ammon, Helios, Beelzebub, great and mighty gods. At the time that Jesus was born, these gods ruled and reigned. Their great monuments frightened the people and filled them with dizzying awe. And the sad thing was that God's people were keenly aware of all those gods, even though they themselves lived in stone and mud huts and had nothing but dusty roads and meager crops. Their God was not so great as Zeus or Apollo or Ammon or Helios. They knew about the other gods because of where they lived. It's a very strange thing where God chose to reveal himself and place his people. In the 8th chapter of the book of the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah mentions a highway. He says the people who live by the way of the sea. The way of the sea was more often called the Via Maris. And it was the major road of the civilized world, and it ran from Egypt in the south up into Assyria and Babylon in the east, and in the north and west into Rome itself. It was a mighty road along which traveled every army, every merchant, every priest, every prophet, every person from those massive and powerful nations. And it so happens that the place where that road is a crossroads, the crossroads of the whole universe, is in the middle of a place called Galilee. Galilee itself had nothing. But it was the crossroads where you could either head to Rome, Assyria, Babylon, Egypt, and everyone, no matter who they were, came through Galilee and told the Galileans about their gods and their monuments. And some of the Galileans had even traveled to those places. And you can imagine one of the Galileans coming back after seeing the temple of Zeus at Olympia. And they came back and they said to their priests and their rabbis, "Where does our God live? Where is our temple that is 145 feet tall and constructed of shimmering white and blue marble? Why do the other gods have magnificent dwelling places? When I looked upon the statue of Athena in the rising of the sun, my heart stopped within me, and I was stunned with awe and wonder." Where is our God's temple? Where does our God live? People in Galilee had a God with no temple. They were a crushed and broken people. Everyone who went along that roadway and that crossroads had trampled them into the earth. The Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Greeks, the Romans had left them poor and broken.